on the satsang, his words, because through my words, the words that I use, I pour myself, I share my nectar to you. If you do not go deep, if you do not meditate, if you do not benefit, if you do not plunge into them, if you do not let them seek within and grow, then I would have been throwing my pearls to the swines. I hope you understand that. So make a sort of meditation. I won't say mea culpa. Make a meditation, turn your gaze, be alone, be absolutely frank, and see how much you are imbibing from my satsang. Otherwise, it will be like, pouring and pouring nectar on a barren land, on some rock. So I've learned that you were very happy with the presence of Ramesh, who had been with you for a few times, for 1 month, but you meet him for some times. I was wondering if only you could be like, meet regularly with the same love, same sincerity and purity. Because you have to understand that Ramesh is just a disciple like you. But of course, he is a good meditator. He has made meditation, spirituality, serving Guru and devotion his priority. So my hope is that you learn from him. You learn from that. Because with the exception of Vaishna, Yaru, and Ruben, most of you disciples are with me for decades. And you've been given the same love, same care, the same attention, the same wisdom. And I've been following you. Very rarely I tell you that through incarnations, just I've been following Ramesh. So make my words a deep and sacred meditation when you have some time. So it should be like this. You're at least 10 people over there. So there shouldn't be a big difference between you and Ramesh. So let's continue on our adventure with, start our adventure with Buddha. Now, Buddha's Buddha's approach is called the Dhammapada. Dhammapada. Pada means verse. Dhamma means dharma, the laws of life. It also means godliness. It means also the way. Just like in Hindu, we have Rit, we have Dharma, and then we have Tao. So this is the meaning of Dhammapada. After Buddha's demise, after the master's demise, he left. He attained Mahaparinirvana. With his enlightenment, he attained Nirvana. But after his enlightenment, he attained Mahaparinirvana, bodiless. He was always a supreme space in a body, but there was a trace of individuality after Nirvana when that was blew off. And the very word Nirvana means to blow off. So the disciples met. Disciples, he had many disciples, but the enlightened disciples, there were a few, they met and they compiled his sayings. Of course, they approached other disciples who gave their testimony. So they compiled his sayings, his everyday activities, whatever were shared by the disciples, they compiled it, and this became the Dhammapada. So we are going to see how the Dhammapada can help you in your search, in your meditation, on your way to self-realization, to nirvana, and eventually to Mahaparinirvana. Okay, we are going to take the first sutra. So listen attentively, sit back, relax in the now, open, no need for any concentration, just relax. If you're scratching, you can scratch. If you're yawning, you can yawn. Do everything but with full awareness by being in the present, because I don't want you to be tensed. When you are listening to master, you have to be absolutely relaxed. Relax, but alert at the same time. Said he, said the first sutra, we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. This is the first sutra, and very profound indeed. We all dream. No, people dream, you dream. I used to dream a lot. Everybody dream. Have you realized that it is our thoughts? If you wish, it is our mind that becomes our dream. And in the dream, in our dream, there is us. There are other people, there are things. There's the world and all the stuffs of the world. Now, all of these things are made or created by our thoughts. And while we are dreaming, we're not aware, we're not conscious of that. This is a dream, I'm dreaming. This is not me. In our dream, we identify ourselves with the dream objects, with the dream personalities, with the dream individualities. If you wish, whatever is there in the dream, we identify ourselves with these things. So that is why it is said, we are what we think. So similarly, what you call your waking state, what you call life, what you call daily life from birth to death, what you call the universe, is your own projection. Now, that has to be understood. The Eastern mystics have always said that the world is an illusion. So when they said that the world is an illusion, when Buddha said that we are what we think, when he said that all that we are arises with our thoughts, with our thoughts we make the world, he is not talking about the world out there. He is talking about the world that you create. Let me give you an example. I already gave you the first example of dream. The second example is, you look at the world not through consciousness, not through the lenses of consciousness, but through your unconsciousness. And your unconsciousness is extremely thick. And your unconsciousness has so many stuffs in it. It's like you are wearing solar glasses, but which has many layers of different colors. Not only it is thick, not only it has different colors, but it is extremely chaotic. There are so many colors mixed in it. And what you are seeing, this is your world. And everybody has their own solar glasses of different colors. People have their own dreams. People have their own vision of life. People of different cultures, people of different religion, people of different temperament, people of different moods, people of different attitudes. They project their own world. This is what we call sansar. Now, sansar, if you ask a Pandit, if you ask a Hindu scholar, if you ask a student of Hinduism, the sansar means the world of birth and death. Yes, it is the world of birth and death. It is not the world out there, because the world out there is made of energy. It is a play of light and darkness. You don't really see the world out there. Perhaps now and then you have a glimpse of it in your meditation, in your contemplation. You have no contact with the world out there. You do not have even contact with your true self, who you are, what you are. Have you ever lived your body even for a few seconds, right, as it is? You have an idea, idea who you are. Just, I'll tell you something very scientific, very profound. We have all different shape, different height, different colors. Our face, the symmetry of our face is different. And people say that what we call beauty lies much in the symmetry, the way we are shaped. And who shaped our body, our height? Who shaped your color? Who shaped your beauty? It is your own mind. I told you when the mind, when the individual mind, when your individual self enters the zygote, the zygote, when the sperm and the ova meets, it starts dividing. And the division of self of each individual is different. The process is similar, but the division is different because your color, my color, your height, my height, So many features in our body are so different. So even physically, our body is shaped by our thoughts. And whatever you think, and I've observed that in life, when you look at people's faces, since childhood, I had a habit. I inherited it from my mother and my mother, from my grandmother. I used to look at people's faces even when they're speaking or doing things. Everywhere, whenever I go out, when at school, the expression of people, their moods, when they would be crying, or laughing, doing things, driving, I like to look. My mother said, why look at their faces? Even now, why look? People are speaking, why look people are taking? See, this is not good. This is not, it's not it's very rude. But you know what? I have inherited this since past incarnation. Past incarnation, I have the ability to read people's character by reading the features of the body and faces. So this has stayed with me. So but genetically I have to get it from my mother. So what happens? Everything from every cells of your body is shaped by what you think. That's why, as a mystic, I know, I see, and I understand that people's gene can be changed. We can foil the plan of our genes. If our gene is, processing in a certain manner to make you a certain type of individual, through your thinking, you can change that. You can change that process. You can change that plan. Would you believe this? And this is what happens. And I understand that this is, of course, not mainstream science, but some scientists believe that this is very much possible. So this is why it has always been said, beware of what you think. I told you in the past, our mind is like a magnet. You take a magnet, and you pass it everywhere, or if it falls down, it remains there, and it starts gathering ion filings, this stuff, whatever is ion, it gets attracted to the magnet. So this is what happens. Because we are unconscious, and this is what is mind. Mind means unconsciousness. Because we are unconscious, and we are very much unconscious, what happens? Whatever our mind sees, whatever it feels, even if it is your senses which feels, but it is the mind who is at the back. Whatever your mind sees, feels, whatever it hears, it gets identified, it gathers it, and it gets identified. So the main thing is identification. Identification. That's why I teach you watchfulness. With watchfulness, you get disidentified. If you get disidentified with your body, you can, with continued practice of watchfulness, you can also get disidentified with your thinking process. And when you get disidentified with your thinking process, you are no longer your thinking. The very definition of mankind, of human beings, is that they are their thinking. People are more in the head than in the heart. They're more in the head than anywhere else. That's why when you look at people in the bus, the underground, the car, they're always, like a sort of speaking to themselves, talking to themselves. It's like in literature, there is a term that they use. I don't know whether it corresponds something similar, perhaps called soliloquy. You are talking to yourself, but they say it poetic, but talking to yourself, it's because your mind is so full. It is full to the brim, so it overflows. When it overflows, you start speaking outside. You're always speaking from morning. Your mind is in constant conversation. So Buddha says, we are what you think. We are what we think. All that arises in our thoughts. We gather thoughts from what we see. We gather images. We hold them. They go into our unconsciousness, and then they keep on arising. We are meditating, when we are sleeping, and there's something called association. You look at a cow, for example, you think about milk, you think about not killing a cow, you think about Hare Krishna, you think about Krishna. This is called association. This is called. So there are many things like this. You look at a car, you start thinking about money, you think about politicians, you think about, how the car is built, so many things. This is called association. So we are what we think. So one thing I would like to tell you, it's good that you understand that thinking is a faculty of the mind. Thinking is a faculty of the mind, and I've told you that we have 5 main faculties of the mind. 5 main: thinking, speech, reasoning, memory, and knowledge, understanding. If you use thinking as an instrument, if you use thinking for utilitarian purposes, then it's okay, it's good. When you have to think, you think. When you don't have to think, just put it somewhere. Just like you have a pen, you have a book, you're reading, you're finished reading, you put it there. You don't carry the book all throughout, everywhere. You don't carry your pen everywhere. You don't carry your car everywhere. You don't bring your car in your bedroom. You don't need it. Similarly, thinking should be like this. When you have to think, and you think more so when you have to do worldly business, world activities. More so, I mean. Sometimes in the spiritual world also, you start thinking about galaxies, about the forms of divine, and so on. There also you think, but mostly in worldly terms. This is okay. And it's good that I tell you, all the masters have been saying, I've been saying to you so many times, I'm always saying to you, to attain the no-mind state, to the no-thinking state. Here you have to understand, your soul, your consciousness, your Atma, the true self, is a no-thinking state. That's why I call it Atman. Atman means beyond man, beyond mind. That is your state. You have to be established in it, established in the no-thinking state, established in the no-mind state, but you can use mind at the same time. Don't be used by it. The magnet has to be clear. Whenever you want to pull something, you use it. Otherwise, you keep it clean somewhere. So mind should be like this. All that we are arises with our thoughts. When you sleep, your thoughts arises and they take the form of your dream, your dreams. With our thoughts, we make the world. Now, when you look at the world out there, it is a reflection of what people think. All the things that we create. We thought about them first. Planes, aeroplanes, mobile phones, houses, all things. But about the ugly things also that we are doing, all the crimes, all the stupidities, all the killings, all the corruption, all the lust, but so many ugly things is a reflection of our mind, our thinking. That's why Buddha says, with our thoughts, we make the world out there. We make the world. And what is the world? It is the world that we project. I mean, when I say our world, I'm not saying the cosmic, the Brahmand. I'm not talking of the cosmos. This is a projection of the cosmic mind. I'm talking about the individual world, about society which you create, about your own miseries, about your pleasure, about your pain. This is created by you, by your deeds, and your deeds are created by your thinking. That's why the wise have always said, think well before you decide, think well before you react, think well before making any decision. So we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. And what is mind? Mind is nothing but thinking, a thinking process. It is always thinking and thinking and thinking. But that is not the ultimate state of the mind. The ultimate state is our mind, is the no mind, the no thinking state. So just be very careful about what you think. Thinking is like a piece of your mind. It is like a bites of your mind. When you talk about many thoughts, bites of your mind, one thought, a bit of your mind is broken. And mind is energy. And when a bit of your mind is broken, when bites of your mind is broken, it flows out. No, it flows out. This means a wastage of energy. That's why when people are stressed, they think a lot. Or thinking a lot brings stress. You overthink. This is to stress. Overthink. You know, when you are engulfed by emotion, also you think. You know, so when you think a lot, you stress, you waste a great amount of energy. When you waste a great amount of energy, you are stressed, you are tired, you're used. You know, so be very careful about your thinking. Let your thinking be an instrument. You think only when you have to think. Otherwise, relax. Give your mind few hours, even more, of rest per day. And why not? If you don't have anything to do, just relax, no thinking. So this is extremely important. So thinking is not meditation. Meditation means a state of no thinking. It is only when you're not thinking that you understand yourself, because otherwise the mind identifies with things which it sees, which it gathers, which it registers, which it attracts. And remember, you are not your thinking, because thinking are many. Thoughts are many. While the soul, consciousness is one, it is homogeneous. Meditate on that. That's why next time when thoughts are disturbing you in your meditation, when you're engulfed by thoughts, just relax and watch. There are many thoughts coming here and there. Are you these things that are coming in the form of images and sound? Would you identify yourself with so many thoughts? You cannot be many. This is to be schizophrenic, means to be divided. Thinking is always divided. It always comes in bits and pieces, as I told. And you are that which is watching all this, which is observing all. Remember, you are always the observer. You are the watcher. You are not the thoughts. You are not your states of being. You are not your moods. You are always the watcher. That has to be understood. Buddha continues. Speak or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you as the wheel follows the ox and draws the cart. Now look at this analogy, at this comparison. Speak or act with an impure mind. Now, people are acting. You cannot remain without acting even for 1 second. Even if you're not acting, at all, you are still acting. The act of not acting, the act of, for example, sitting and not doing anything. You are sleeping, You are meditating. Even in your meditation, you are doing things. This is an action. Only when you attain to the witnessing state, only when you attain to the witnessing, you are only a witness, sakshi. Then you attain to the non-doing state, to the non-acting state. Prior to that, when you identify with your body, when you identify with the mind, you feel you are doing things. I am there, I'm doing. So speak or act with an impure mind. What is an impure mind? When you are acting unconsciously, when you are acting, you are pulled, you are motivated by desires, by selfishness. When you act expecting the fruits of your action, when you are not authentic, when you talk, when you interact with people wearing a mask, you do not show your real face. You are unauthentic. When you react, you do not act. Your ego is hurt, you react. So this means to act with an impure mind. When you react through anger, through greed, through lust, through hatred, through jealousy, this means to act through an impure mind. Speak or act with an impure mind. You know what? When you have greed, and these are the things that you have to meditate deeply. These are the things that you have to watch very closely. Greed, anger, lust, hatred, jealousy, and attachment. Now, these are the 6 things that makes you impure. You know what I had told you in the past? That your moods, your attitude, your attitude, and these themselves are formed by your mind, by your unconsciousness, by your greed, by your lust, by your hatred, by your jealousy. You know, they leave a trace on the mirror of your mind. And as you have been doing this for incarnations, as you have been doing this from childhood, these make the mirror of your mind become thick, and it clouds your perception. That's why you cannot make between what is real or unreal, or you mistake for what you are seeing through the thickness of your mind as real. This you will see later on. Buddha talks about real and real. So you speak or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you. All these trouble in the world, in society, in family life, in personal life, in individual life, in work and environment, all the troubles that you have in life, your mother, your brother, sister, all these just because you have spoken or act with an impure mind. And trouble follow you as the wheel follows the ox of the cart. Buddha has taken this example. So you cannot speak. Because of that, people say, you know, we make our destiny. True indeed. Because your mind, the quality of your mind will decide your behavior. It will decide, make you decide about your life, and the decisions that you make with an impure mind creates your hell. That's why people say my life is a hell indeed. But this is how they have decided it. We are what we think. Buddha continues. All that we arise the thoughts, with our thoughts make the world. Is speak or act with an impure mind. Is speak and or act with a pure mind. This is something different. Is speak and act with pure mind. Happiness will follow you as your shadow unshakable. What is a pure mind? A pure mind, I would like to use a word, very beautiful word we have in Hindi. There is something called uchit. Uchit. Chit means consciousness. Uchit means according to consciousness. If you ask, here again, a student of Hinduism, if you ask a Pandit or a scholar, they will tell you means Uchit is that which is right, but what is right? Who will decide what is right? Only consciousness can decide what is right. Only when you do something that comes spontaneously, naturally from your consciousness, only that which is right. And when you live according to your consciousness, then that brings happiness. That brings virtue. It says, what is happiness? Just as we define, what is sorrow? What is a bad destiny? What is suffering? It is the shadow of an impure mind. Similarly, the shadow of a pure mind is happiness, and will follow you as your shadow, unshakable. So that has to be understood. So we don't have to rack your brain to think a lot what is right and what is wrong, what is pure and what is impure. Pure, only one thing is pure, your consciousness. And only that which is born from your consciousness can be correct, can be true. Because your consciousness is divine, your consciousness is godliness. So your action has to come from your consciousness, your action. That's why masters have been laying emphasis, meditate, meditate, and meditate. Become more and more conscious. That will decide. That's why for spiritual people, for spiritual masters, there is no general formula. There is no general discipline that in particular circumstances you have to act in a particular way. That this is right, this is wrong. That's why sometimes even you alone can know what is right and what is wrong. You will know if you acted, if you reacted, or you are. When you act from your ego, when you act from your mind, when you act from your unconsciousness, when you act from your thinking process, this is a reaction. You react. It's just like a pebble is thrown in water and the water is disturbed. This is reaction. But the yogi, the person who lives in consciousness, and that is the meaning to be spiritual, to live in consciousness, in and as consciousness, then that person responds. So happiness, bliss, a good destiny is a response of your consciousness. So be more and more conscious and become more and more aware of those things that makes you more unconscious, that prevents you from becoming more conscious. And those things, the more you are unconscious, the more you go towards the world, the more you are engaged in the world, you become more unconscious. You become more entangled, especially when you go unconscious. So that has to be understood. So I'm going to stop here. We're going to stop here for this fortnight. You are going to meditate on my words, on the words of the Buddha about thinking. I reread the sutra. We are what we think. All that we think arises without our thoughts. Without thoughts, we make the world. You speak or act with a pure mind, and happiness will follow you. You speak as your shadow and unshakable. You speak or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you as the wheel follows the ox that draws the cow. That's it. So here we are. The adventure is with Buddha. Remember Buddha, he brought a revolution in the world of religion. From Buddha, 2,500 years ago, a great revolution took place, happened for the first time in the history of religion. He does not speak about God. He speaks about a way out of misery. He did not speak even out of self-realization, because he said there is no self. But of course, we understand that when he said there is no self, he was speaking about the ego, individual self. You know. So here we are. If you have few questions related to today's satsang, to Buddha's Dhammapada, to the first sutra, please go ahead. I will respond. Yes. Of course, if you are contemplating, still contemplating, you are meditating, you don't have question, that's not a problem. You can bring your question next time. Do not try to make an effort, especially after when you have listened to a guru. Perhaps you are in a state of inebriation and divine revelation, silence, awareness, or in the no mind state. So no need to create any question. If you are, if it comes spontaneously, then it's okay. Otherwise, for next time. Yes, I can see you, Diya, no problem.
Guruji, how are you?
Yes. Hari Om.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's one of my favorite subjects, mind and consciousness, and been practicing myself and getting realization. And it's truly our thoughts create reality, and I've seen in my life how this happens from very small actions and feelings, reactions, and then you finally realize, so, and you do respond. So it's just my comment, but my question is, Guruji, you mentioned about catharsis in your email.
Yes. Yes.
Are you saying about natural catharsis, or are you talking about the after the breathing?
No, I told you when I responded to your mail, that is something personal to you because you shared something with me. So you have to throw it out back out of this. You know, for example, in rebirth therapy, after the 10 minutes of chaotic breathing, you throw out things which comes, if there are any things for that matter. And that's why I was speaking about, because we gather a lot of things, for example, anger, childhood memories, and so on, painful. So if these are coming, don't hold them, just throw them out. That was just for you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's it. Thank you. Thank you, Guruji.
And yes, indeed, as you said, just remind me of, it's good that you understand our thinking, our thoughts, or forces of the mind. And sometimes we give them much energy when you think a lot about them. For example, you have great hatred for somebody, or you have a lot of anger, or have a lot of negative thoughts. It depends, just like giving life. Otherwise, if you are aware, if you are conscious and detached, your thoughts loses their capacity. It's good that you understand this. When you're fully alert, your awareness is like a flame. Awareness is a flame in you. Then everything, all these thoughts doesn't disappear. They will be still there in you in a storehouse because you have memories. Even in me, all these thoughts I have been thinking during my whole life, they will be there. But then they become like a harmless snake with no teeth to bite. But the more you are unconscious, the more you think about things you weren't thinking, then your thoughts, they gain capacity and they take form and comes to you. Just as they come to you in the form of a dream, in the form of dreams, they can come to you like this. They create circumstances, they create situations and come to you in your life and make your life hell. So that's why, please, especially when you meditate, your mind is more powerful. Your mind is more powerful. Then you have more willpower. Then your mind, your thinking can be more powerful. So that's why please be very, very careful about what you think. I'm not saying that you have to be stressed up there, but simply be more relaxed and be more alert. Now that you have understood the capacity of thinking, you know, people are releasing thinking every time, millions and millions of thoughts everywhere. And these thoughts, they flow in society, they flow in time and space, and they pass through you, because your mind is an instrument that can emit, at the same time, receive thoughts. They can transmit and receive thoughts. So if you're not conscious, and if you're not very disciplined, they take hold of you and make you dance like a puppet and pull you. People might think that somebody who is bad, somebody who is this and that. Generally, you are okay, you are good, but you have been a victim of somebody's else thoughts or society's thought. Now, this is something I would like you to understand very much. We are living in an ocean of thoughts. Our thoughts leave our brain and it travels like waves, just like radio waves. Like radio waves. And that's why many times in your meditation, you receive thinkings. You receive thoughts that are not yours. So if you are alert, they are just like the cloud. They pass in the sky and they go without leaving any trace, and the sky is not affected. So be like a sky. That's why my emphasis is on the Maha mantra. You know what is Maha? Maha means great. The great mantra is watchfulness, observation, witnessing. Call it whatever you like. So please invest totally, absolutely, constantly, day and night in being more aware. There's no greater teaching than this. Even if I'm not here one day, no need to follow anyone, no need to take initiation from anyone. That will be enough in itself. But I'm saying this, I have put enough energy in it so it can help you to attain enlightenment. So that's it. Whatever you do, just be aware, just be fully aware, and ask yourself, what is preventing me from becoming more aware? Of course, if you eat wrong and so on and so on and so on, if you are too much engaged in the world, that's it. Okay, here we are. If you have questions, a few questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You are welcome. That's my most pleasure. Otherwise, Hari Om. So you have a whole fortnight to be with Gautam Buddha. Gautam Buddha was, silence incarnated. Gautam Buddha was so calm always. He hardly descended. Most of the time, he remained in the 6th and 7th chakra, Very rarely he came down. I don't remember he came down. Very rarely came down. Like me, I'm living in a worldly life. I have family, I have wife, I have you, right? Things. Buddha was always where he was centered, 7th, 6th chakra. So that's why he was so calm. He was so, my goodness, I love him. Hari Om.
Hari Om, everyone. Have a nice Sunday.
Hari Om.